Should you apply for a job you're overqualified for? Join me for this discussion with Pamina Swainaina, the CEO of Corporate Staffing, and myself, Cynthia Wakio, Communication and Events Manager, and we will discuss and give you tips on how you should approach this. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Cynthia, for having me.
So, as a professional, you're job searching, it's frustrating.
Yes.
You see a job you're overqualified for, but a job you can do.
Yeah.
Should you go ahead and do that?
Well, I do understand where the individual is coming from, especially when you don't have a job. But you also have to look at it from an employer perspective.
Yes.
So when you talk about someone being overqualified, an employer is looking at three things. Number one, your level of experience and skills compared to what they are looking for. So they could be looking for 3 years of experience and Cynthia has 7 years of experience. So even if you're able to do the job, then the number of, you are too experienced for the role. The other thing you find is the salary. Salary can be an issue. So for example, if your last or current job is paying you double or even triple, it doesn't matter even if you're not working, but if you're earning a certain level and the job pays lower, someone might think also that you're overqualified. That one I've seen with employers is also the issue of age. So for example, there are some positions which are entry levels, and for that, they would prefer entry level, so fresh graduates, people who are 23 years up to 26 years. So if you're 32 years and you don't have a job, or you want to move because they are paying this entry level, 100,000, but you see there's a mismatch when it comes to the age. And for employers, at the back of their mind is, if we hire this person and they are overqualified, two things. They're not going to find the job interesting enough for them to stay. Or if it's the salary, maybe the employer is paying a lower salary, they'll think that employee will look at this opportunity as just something to mark time as they get their ideal salary. So you've got, it's not just a matter of that I myself as Paminas, I'm ready and willing to work and there's a job here I can do. You also have to consider the employer perspective. Yeah.
And also it's frustrating where you keep applying for so many jobs and you're not getting feedback because of those reasons you've given.
Exactly. So the question then is, should I apply? So for me the answer is yes and no. So yes, where does this apply if I'm to advise you to apply? So let's say you have 4 years of experience, let's 6 years of experience, and, and the job requires 4 years of experience. As you can see the gap, there's not much.
Yes.
Yeah. Or let's say you are 28 years old and the job requires someone who's 25. Again, also you're not far off. The problem would be where Cynthia, the job requires someone who's 25 years old and you're 35. For sure, they're not going to hire you. No matter what kind of skills and experience you're bringing on board. Yeah. So if salary, let's say you are earning 150,000 or 200, and the job requires, their budget is for someone who would be comfortable with 50,000 shillings. Again, you can see you are far away.
All right. Then what do you advise professionals when it comes to this?
There are two ways to go about it. So let's say I'm not working and there are circumstances beyond my control. For example, I remember there's a time we had a position, it was paying 100,000 here at Corporate Staffing, not our own, but a client. And there's this candidate who had worked in the diaspora, and they're the one in 300,000. So for them, the argument was, there I was being paid as an expatriate, but I'm okay with 100,000 shillings. And so we were able to explain to the client and they saw sense. Because you could be earning 300,000 in Dubai and you're only able to save 10,000 shillings, but here you could be earning 100,000 shillings and you're living at home and all that, and you're able to make your 30,000. So it's even a better deal. So for me, I would say, look at where you are versus what the client or the employer is looking for, and just make sure that the gap is not very wide. It should be something which is manageable. And you mentioned that bit of frustration. Frustration comes in when you keep applying for jobs where there's a mismatch, there's a big mismatch, and being overqualified is actually a mismatch. So I'd say for me, for professionals, my advice would be, it's an issue of quality versus quantity. The fewer the jobs you target where you're qualified, where you meet the expectations, you know, where there's a good match between what you've done and what the employer is looking for, the higher the chance you stand for getting an interview.
Yes.
Yes, and that also builds into your morale, you know, and I mean, you can keep at it as opposed to making 50 applications
in a
every
day.
week,
Yeah.
and you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where people go wrong, applying for quantity, or rather going for quantity over quality.
Yes, and also the thing is also it profiles you as a desperate job seeker. And people don't like dealing with people who are desperate.
Yes.
So my advice is come, if it's corporate staffing services website, have a look at the job, score yourself. In fact, I tell people, just print your CV, look at what are the requirements.
Yeah.
5 years, they're asking for 5 years, I have 7 years, that's okay. But if they're asking for 5 and you have 10, 12 years of experience, unfortunately, no matter how desperate you are for a job, HR professionals, recruiters, they are trained to pick on such things because we want someone who's a good fit. And I'll ask you, remember, you may never have worked in HR, or you've never even been a manager in charge of recruitment.
Yes.
But look at the way you were when you're in Form 1 and Form 4. Different mindset,
Yes.
different expectations. Yeah. So now can you imagine the way, if I want a Form 1, I want a Form 1. If I want a Form 4, I want someone who's ready to go out there.
Yeah.
They are ready even for university and such kind of things. The
Yes.
thinking is different, and the expectation is something also very different.
Very true.
Yeah.
Thank you for those tips, and thank you for watching. For more job search tips, interview tips, CV writing, here is your channel. Please subscribe, and please share this video, leave a comment for us to see, and also address as a topic, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.